if there's evil and God ought to exclude all evil, therefore no God.
And we would agree. So seeing...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You just kind of surprised me
right?
where you
Right.
agreed right there. Yeah, okay.
So seeing the problem of evil
yeah.
as evidence against a God who ought to preclude all evil, they are right.
Oh, I see. But
If our concept of divinity or of God is one such that this reality, God, ought to preclude all evil, if that is the case, if that's the concept of divinity we have in mind, then evil would serve as evidence against such a God, against the existence of such a God.
okay, so this is a good argument against a particular type of God.
That is correct.
Oh, I
Yes.
gotcha. I never thought of it that way. Okay.
And so, insofar as they argue evil is evidence against God, understanding God as a God who ought to preclude all evil, they're correct.
But
where it goes wrong, our response would be, well, God is not one such that he ought or has a duty or is bound in justice to himself or to creatures to preclude all evil, whether it be natural evil or moral evil. And here's the reasoning behind that. So here's the rationale. Let's take natural evil first, right? Like
earthquake
or us suffering some sort of physical ailment.
Yeah.
That's part and parcel of the material world, right? So whenever you have a material world, the good of one thing is going to curtail the good of another. The flourishing of the lion is going to be bad for the gazelle, right?
Right.
The good of the virus,
bad for the whole world.
Bad for the whole world,
Yeah.
bad for our body. That's part and parcel of the material world, where the good of one thing is going to curtail the good of another. You're also going to have defects within the material world. Things are going to fall short of how they ought to function and flourish as material things. You're going to have things breaking apart because all the material things are made up of parts, and as much as they're made up of parts, they're going to break apart. That's called death, right?
Yeah.
So it's part and parcel of the material world that you're going to have these natural evils. So in light of that, to preclude such natural evils, to prevent such natural evils, would be something over and above the nature of the material things. That's called grace. That's called a miracle. So for God to perpetually prevent natural evil would require a miracle. The same is true even for the prevention of moral evil. Inasmuch as we are not our own end goal, like we're not God, right? God alone is his ultimate end himself. Right. He's the ultimate goal. He himself is his own perfection, right? But for us as creatures, our perfection is in something other than ourselves.
Right.
Namely God. So given that reality, we by nature are subject to missing the mark with regard to our perfection and our happiness as rational beings.
Yeah, because it's outside of ourselves.
So we're going to have to direct ourselves, right?
Yeah.
To achieve this ultimate goal of perfection and possessing the ultimate good, who is God. In order for us as rational creatures to be preserved from moral evil or moral defect, that would require something over and above our nature as finite rational beings, as creaturely rational beings.
Right.
So in order for God to preserve us not only from natural evil, that would require something over and above our nature and thus a miracle, something that is not due to us. For God to preserve us from moral evil is something over and above our nature, i.e. a miracle, and thus something not due to us. So the bottom line is this. If God's preservation of us from all natural evil and God's preservation from all moral evil requires a miracle, miraculous activity, well then that means that sort of action on the part of God, it's not due to us, right? No. So he's not bound in justice. That is right. He is not bound in justice to himself, nor to us as creatures, whether we're talking about natural evil or moral evil, to preserve or prevent all natural evil and all moral evil.